everyone. How are you all doing this morning? I hope everyone is having a fantastic day. I hope if you got some snow, it is now starting to hopefully clear up. That's what I'm hoping for here. That hopefully it's going to be warm, a little bit warmer above freezing. So I'm hoping that it will melt. Let me know how everything is going with you. If this is your first time here, hi, my name is Carrington. This is not your first time here, then hi, welcome back. If you enjoy all things makeup, then definitely go ahead, hit that subscribe button, click the little bell so you're notified of all my future uploads, and let's dive into today's video. Alright, so far you guys have seen my favorites from January, my fails from January, as well as my palette ranking for the month of January. So now I'm going to talk about a monthly roundup for the products that didn't necessarily make it into my favorites, didn't make it into my fails. I'm going to talk about why they're kind of middle of the road products. So if you guys are excited to see what I think of the products now that I've had a little bit more time to try them out, then definitely keep on watching. Alright, so first things first, let's start with some beauty tools. So first things first are some Alien Cosmetics brushes. I had bought a couple of different brush sets from them. These are just okay. I discovered better from like Give Me Glow, Rougher, Blend Bunny. I think those are much more superior to these. These are synthetic. They're really nice. They are soft, but I feel like some of the shapes of the brushes just didn't make sense. And I also feel like some of them necessarily weren't like the best. So here's this brush right here, which is supposed to be for like, you could use it for like under your eyes or like a highlight. I feel like this is too big for a highlight. And it's so soft though. I mean exponentially soft that like I can't get a lot of powder up in here. It just kind of like flays away. And this is just like what I'm talking about. Like some of them just like don't make sense. Some of them are really great brushes, but I don't want to buy a whole set of brushes and only like 3 or 4. So I don't hate them. So they're not a fail because I do really like some of the brushes, but I don't love all of them, and you can't buy them separately. You have to buy them in a set. So I just think that they're just like generally just like okay, but I wouldn't say they're like extraordinary. Let's go ahead and let's move on into skincare. So we have the Chucky face mask. There were 2 Chuckies and 2 Angelicas. I did a Chucky on camera and I've done an Angelica off camera. This is like a decent sheet mask. I don't necessarily know that it's like mind-blowing. I will say, they do make my face nice and soft, but it's just so overly big for my face. I'm just like, oh, drowning in it. And these things have so much wetness to it. I mean, like it's a lot of like wetness to it that I just like, it just starts to like slide down my face. But I do like how nice and soft it does make my skin. So, and I do like the funness of it being like the Rugrats. So I think like that's one reason why I like it. And it's not necessarily a fail or anything. Like it's not terrible. I think it did a great job. And you do have like the extra, I mean, you just have so much extra that literally you can take the extra of the face mask and literally just go down your whole upper body. So, wasn't really expecting that, but I think this is overall, it's decent. Next up here is the Tarte Sugar Rush Best Bud Lip Butter Balm. This is something that my kids picked out for me for Christmas. I love like the packaging. I think the packaging is so cute. I love the way it smells. I think it does make your lips nice and soft. This isn't necessarily a favorite just because I am obsessed. I'm obsessed with the Too Faced Hangover RX Pillow Balms. I want to use those all the time. So I don't think they're like as nice or as soft as those. But I think, it does a decent job. It's not anything to write home about. It's not a fail. Like it's a good product, but I just have things I like more. And I've used this a few different times and it's good. I don't necessarily know it's something that like I would repurchase or that I'm like gung-ho about, but I do love like the sentimentalness of like my kids picked it out. Okay, so the last thing in the skincare realm before we dive into all the makeup is the Juvia's Place, the Peptide and Ceramide moisturizer. So here's the thing, you get 1 fluid ounce and it's $36. And I mean, it's just not a lot of product. Like I've literally only used this like a couple of times and this side is already You can see the bottom for $36. Now, you're probably like, well, then why wouldn't that be a fail? I think this is a really, really great moisturizer. I think it does a fantastic job moisturizing. Know that I love this more than some of my other drugstore ones, but I do like that it has no fragrance. That's fantastic. It has no fragrance, and it is really nice and hydrating. So if you're somebody that has really sensitive skin and you're struggling to find a good moisturizer, I think that's a really good option. But if you don't want to pay the $36, I think there are better options out there. Like CeraVe has a really nice hydrating one that I would say was comparable to that and cheaper, but I think it has like a little bit more of like a scent to it than that does. So just something to be mindful, just something to think about. I think it's a really good product. The reason why it wasn't like a favorite like the other skincare products, just because it's $36 and you don't get a lot. Let's move on to makeup, which is, we're gonna move on into like the priming of the skin. So first up, we have the NYX Plump Right Back with electrolytes, plumping serum and primer. I think this is okay. You know, I don't think it's necessarily like revolutionary for my skin. I really like the marshmallow primer from them. I feel like that gives me more hydration than this does. I don't really necessarily think, you know, it overly plumps my skin. I don't feel like it does any of that. I do feel like it adds some hydration, but if I'm gonna pay $17 for a product, I would rather pay for the marshmallow, which one has a better scent. This, I don't like the way this smells. This smells like, it's like, yeah, it's like old lady perfume. That's what this smells like. Whereas the marshmallow one, it has like a definitely more like a fruity candy kind of a scent. So although I don't really care for fragrance in my makeup, if I do have to have, you know, if I feel the need to have to put in a scent, I would rather go for the marshmallow scent over this. Don't like this. And, you know, although it does a really good job, you know, hydrating the skin, I just don't feel like it hydrates it as much as the marshmallow. So I would say this is like an okay product. I just wouldn't say it's amazing. So then we have the Give Me Glow eyeshadow primer. This is in the shade Blank Canvas. So this is a white primer. I love this white primer. And you're like, well, then why isn't it in your favorites? All right, let me get to that. So first of all, this is so great. Like, I just dab some on and blend it out, and my eye area stays white. Sometimes I will use like the what is it called? The P. Louise base that's more white, and I've tried like the Jeffree Star concealer that's supposed to be white, and it just kind of blends in, so it's not like as white, but this stays nice and white. The reason why it's not like a favorite is because I just don't find the staying power to like lock my eyeshadow on as long as like my Ulta Matte primer. So like this is really good. Like if I want something that's like more pastel or light and I really need a white base, I'm gonna go with this. But if it's just like an everyday look and I can use whatever primer, I'm not gonna necessarily reach into this. I'm just gonna go into my matte Ulta eye primer. Next from them is also the Give Me Glow Harder Glitter and Shimmer Primer. Again, I always, you know, put some kind of glitter primer down whenever I'm doing something on the lid, unless it's a matte, then I don't. But anything else, shimmer, glitter, metallics, duochromes, whatever it is I'm definitely using a glitter primer. I do usually use the NYX one, and I find the NYX one works really well. This one I feel like remains more sticky than the NYX one, but I don't find that my shimmers and stuff last as long than with the NYX one. But I do like this. I think it's fine. I think it's a good product. I just think that my eyes are very hooded, creasy, crinkly, crunchy, munchy, you know, all the things. And so I need something that's really going to adhere. And unfortunately, just because of how creasy and hooded my eyes are, it's really hard to find something like that. So I think if you don't have like super like hooded, creasy eyelids, this would be great. I think like the primer, the eye primer, the glitter primer, I think are both great products. It's just an okay product just because, again, it's my eye shape that's the issue. Not the product, me. All right, let's talk about some eye products. So first off is this Alien Water Liner. So here's the thing. I've tried the black a couple of different times, and I do really like the black. This, you know, I thought it would like applied really nicely, you know, used a nice brush, got it nice and wet. I think it applied beautifully. I did try the green. The green was good as well. Those are the only ones that I've tried so far. Well, okay. This is why it's not like revolutionary and not my favorite. This like duochrome one doesn't do anything. And then if you try to top it on top of like the black, it just makes it gray. It's not like you can tell like the duochrome effect. It literally just makes it look gray. So I don't want to like say this is incredible because this the duochrome one down towards the bottom, it's not that great, but the other ones are pretty good. Next up for liners is the Juvia's Place liners. This came in like the little box. These are fine. I don't necessarily find that they're bad. So first off, you have like this like felt tip. I feel like it's nice. It's just so large. And I feel like it is, you know, nice and black. But the issue that I was having with this is it's really nice, but when it gets to like the outer portion of my eyes where I do have a little bit more crinkliness, it just felt like it just kept tugging and not laying down product in my crinkles. So this just wasn't it for me. And then you have like this like brush one, and I don't know, like it's okay, but I feel like I just don't have a lot of control with this. My favorite all time is the Beauty Bakery Lollipop Liner, and these just don't compare to that. I think they're okay. I think they're decent. If you don't have like really crinkly eyes, I think that, you know, this is nice, black, doesn't really bleed. Same with this one. This one doesn't really bleed. If you're able to like use these and gain control, I think those are decent. But again, it's just not mind-blowing to me. Let's talk about some concealer. So for the concealer, I have the Maybelline Super Stay Active Wear Concealer. So I had used this on camera and it looked like it was really like patchy. It turned out it was because of the serum foundation. I've used this separate and it does do a pretty good job. I will say I like to work it in sections. That's what I like to do. One of my issues that I just have with this though is like, it's just like, look how thin the applicator is, and it just doesn't distribute the product as great. Like you have to like really like sit here and coat it up. I don't really love that. And then even then, you know, I've like coated this up. It's just not revolutionary to me, truthfully. Now let's move on into some cream products. So I only have 2 cream bronzers to talk about. So first off is this Rare Beauty. This is the cream contour stick in Power Boost. So when I first tried this, I felt like it just kind of like blended into like nothing. And then I was watching other reviews and other people were really getting it to work. And so I was like, why am I not able to get this to work? So here I did, applied it on the skin, blended it out with my sponge. So then I'm going to take the Power Stick and I'm going to coat my sponge. Okay, coated my sponge. All right, see how light that is? I coated my sponge and boom, pigment. So the reason, like I think this is a really good, it's really nice, really creamy, blends out beautifully, but I don't like, I should be able to just put this on my skin and blend it out and it looked beautiful, especially because like I, you know, went over it quite a few times. And so I don't really like that. And I don't necessarily always want to have to coat my sponge. It's because I sometimes feel like I don't get as much precision as I would just going like this and blending it out slowly. So I don't really care for that. But I think this is really nice, really creamy, a really good product. And it's a really good bronzer. You just have to finesse it to work it. The next up is going to be the ABH Cream Bronzer. I loved how creamy, blendable, easy it was to work. The reason why this is so much lower is because this was marketed on Ulta's website as for like fair, light skin with neutral undertones. Neutral undertones. This made it look like I had jaundice. That's what it looked like. It looked like I had jaundice. If this had been a better shade or maybe like a little bit more cool or a little bit more warm, not yellow, not making it look like I had jaundice, I could see where I could be like, oops, this product is incredible. But do you see how yellow that is? That is so yellow. Like here, orange, bronze, yellow. I don't know. So I'm not like the biggest fan of that, truthfully. So I am going to order a different shade, like a little bit of a deeper shade, and see how well that works. because this is just not working out. For eyebrows, we have the Thick It Stick It NYX Thickening Brow Mascara. I think this does indeed really coat the brows nicely, add some like color to it. But the reason why I'm not ranking this like higher up is just because I find that it gets a little bit messy, because this, look at how big this is. Like, what? Whereas the NYX one with like the clear, the brush was much smaller, more precise. So I really liked that brush. Like, honestly, this could have been a lot better if they had put that brush on here, but they didn't. And also, I just like the clear one a little bit better. My brows are really, really sparse. And so you would think, well, get some color so you can have that. But I just feel like it just gets all over the place, everywhere. And so I don't really care for that. So I prefer the clear one more. I think if you have thicker, much thicker brows, you'll like this. But if you have really sparse brows and you don't have the ability to like clean them up, because the way I do my brows and my steps is kind of all over the place, I don't think you'll necessarily like this. But I do think it's decent and good. I just wish the wand was just different. All right, so then we're gonna move on into powder. This is the Rare Beauty Setting Powder Light. I think this is a really beautiful powder. I think it does a phenomenal job. My only qualm, and I think the packaging is really good. Like, you have like this, you open it up, and then you can lock it so like nothing comes out. This is the lightest shade. They don't have a translucent. This is marked for light. Light for who? So I think this would be a really good powder. This would be a favorite if they come out with something that's a little bit lighter or maybe more translucent, or something for fair skin, something like that. Just because I feel like, although it doesn't necessarily make my complexion that much darker, I just don't think it really helps brighten it up. And I think it does add a little bit more color to my skin than before. But I think it's a really, really beautiful powder. If you're deeper than me, or, you know, are in the market for something and you're not as fair as me, I would think you would like this powder. It's a good powder. I know it says radiant, but I don't really find it's overly radiant or anything. I think it's really beautiful. But it's not a fail just because the color is off, because it's a really good product, but it can't be a favorite because the color is off. If that makes sense. Hopefully that makes sense. Let's go on into some like face quads, face products. So the first is this e.l.f. Cream Contour Palette. I think, like, again, it's a really beautiful palette. I think it's really nice. It's really creamy. It blends out beautifully, picks up on, you know, brushes nicely, on sponges nicely. Like, it works really well. The reason why I would say I'm not like in love with this is because I'm more in love with the e.l.f. Putty Bronzers. And what I mean by that is you can find your shade, or, you know, whatever shade you would need, and just use that. And like this one, I can only use this shade. This I can kind of use. It's still like a little bit too deep for me, so I have to be like very careful where I use this, you know, if at all. But, you know, just to pay like the $6 or $8 or whatever it is, I don't know if you can even tell, the $6 or $8 for this, and only being able to use like 1 or 2 shades from it isn't worth it, when I could spend that exact same money for a shade I know is going to work for me. So I think this is a good palette, especially if you maybe like are a makeup artist, or you know, you are able to use more than one shade. This might be a good palette for you, but for me, it just isn't. Next, onto the Charlotte Tilbury Face Quad. I got stuff all over it. I think this is a really decent palette, but this is really expensive. This is $75. Here's the thing. I think it's good. I think if you're like, hey, I want to purchase something from Charlotte Tilbury, would you recommend it? Yes, I think it's decent. But like for one, I can really only use like these shades. This is like a little bit too dark. This is a good contour. These are both contour shades. This is definitely a good contour shade for me. The blush is really nice. You do have to kind of build it up. And then you have this highlight. And the highlight I have to be very, very careful with, or it gets too dark too quick. So for me, this palette where I'm only using, you know, for sure these 2 shades, and this one I have to be careful with, and this one I'm not using at all, isn't worth $75 to me. You know, I think like if you're able to use all of these shades, or you're able to use all 3 of those shades without having to be like, oh, I gotta be careful or anything like that, I think you're gonna like this. But it's just, for me, like $75, and really I can confidently use like 2 shades. I'm just kind of like, no. Last category with the most are lip products. We have a lot to talk about. First up is going to be the Alien Cosmetics, what are they called? The satin lipsticks. I think that like the packaging is just so cute and fun. You've got like a little snow globe in there. I think these are decent, but these are supposed to be satin, but I feel like they're still like a little bit more matte, and they're kind of like an uncomfortable type matte. And then the colors that I got, they looked very different online than what you actually get in person. So I don't know if it's like the lighting or a filter or something, but I do think that they are decent. You know, they're decent. If you like some weird out there, you know, kind of colors that are a little bit more grunge, I think you'll really like these, especially if you want something that's going to like stay, because these will stay because they, again, have more of like that matte feel. And I really do like sometimes having like a really nice grungy type of like lip color on, but it's just a little bit uncomfortable for me, but I am willing to wear it. I really like that, and the packaging is just 10 out of 10. Next we have the Glam Light Icy. So they had a blue one, like a more nude one, and this cherry one, and I think it's decent. Like that's the thing, like it's just like it's decent. Like I don't think it's terrible, and I like the scent of these. It's not like a it's not a like vanilla scent. It's almost like a nice fruity scent, and so I really like that. I do like that, but you know, these are very colored glosses, and I'm not really going to be wearing a whole lot of like I might wear this if I'm wearing like a red lip and I would like a gloss, but like the blue, I'm not going to use that. And then the Coke one had some like gold glitter, so it would have to be like a special occasion if I'm using that. So the formula is nice, you know, it's nice and thin, and it doesn't feel really overly sticky or anything like that. So I think it's like decent, but again, it's just the colors aren't something that I'm going to be reaching for all the time. All right, so we have 2 things from Milani. We have the Understatement Lip Liner. This is in Cinnamon Statement. I think it's decent. I just, the lip liner it's nice and creamy, but you really have to build it up to get like this level of pigment. Like I had to go over that multiple times. So I think that's like it's decent, but again, it's just like it's kind of an expensive drugstore lip liner. There's not really a lot of drugstore lip liners that I'm like passing out over and thralling over. I really like ColourPop, Pat McGrath, Charlotte Tilbury, and so you know these are like $9 or $10. I mean, they're kind of expensive, but like ColourPop is around that same price, and I find I don't have to build it as much, and it's a lot more creamy. But I think that like, you know, going to the drugstore, I think Milani does, you know, a decent job, but it's not like a fail, but it's not like a favorite either. It's just kind of one of those where I'm just kind of like, eh. Next up are these matte lips. I know, like they're like all the rage. Everybody wants them, and I think they're good, decent products. And that's the thing, like they're just good and decent, but they're not ones that I'm reaching for all the time. They're not a fail because they suck, but they're not a favorite because again, I'm not reaching for them all the time. I think they're really nice and decent. I think this is a great drugstore lipstick option. Again, you know, here it is on this side. You definitely see like the more of the matte, and here was that satin, so you can kind of tell the difference. It does have more of a matte. And I think that it is really good and fair and affordable. It kind of depends on where you pick these up. I found these to be more expensive on Ulta's website, but I went to Walmart where I was at, and it was like $2 or $3 cheaper at Walmart. And then I went on Milani's website, and it was also really cheap there. So, you know, you have a lot of different options, but I don't really wear a whole lot of like lipsticks. I know, I don't know why, but I'm more of like a liquid lipstick, or like a gloss, or a lip oil. So like for me, I just wouldn't get a ton of use out of these just because I'm not really reaching for lipsticks a whole lot, but I think it's really good for the drugstore. Last lipstick is this from ABH. This feels really nice, really weighted. It's really nice. It's really creamy. Not necessarily the, like you can't even tell. Not necessarily the color I was going for. When I looked at this online, it looked like it was going to be a little bit deeper, maybe a little bit more pink. That's not what I got. But this is like $23. And truthfully, like the Milani ones are like $9, $7, something like that. and you know, between $7 and $9. This is $23. I can buy 3 lipsticks for the price of one of these. And yeah, I just don't feel that like it's overly incredible, because again, I'm not wearing a lot of lipsticks. So I just don't think, you know, $23 is worth it. But if you do wear a lot of lipsticks and you like an extensive shade range, I think, I mean, you could probably go with Milani, truthfully, but they have more options for at the ABH one, so you could definitely, you know, pick one of those up. I don't think it's a bad lipstick by any means. It's just $23. No. All right, so then we have a balm. This is from the Two Femme collection. It's a little heart one. I do like these. The smells like, what is this? I don't know. It's like a little bit fruity as well. I think the packaging is super cute. I do like some nice balmy options. So I think that this is fine. Again, it was just kind of expensive. When I have like the Milani ones that are equally as like pigmented and balmy that are much cheaper. So again, like it's like these are good and I will use them because I do love balms, but I just don't necessarily know that I would have paid like the $24 when I had the Milani if it wasn't for a review. Next up is from Alien Cosmetics. This is the glosses that came in the smells like holiday spirit. So it definitely has like a nice tint to it. I think these are good glosses. Like I don't have, yeah, they don't have the best smell, but I don't really have any issues with this. I mean, it's not a bad gloss by any means, but my top favorite glosses is that from Lunar Beauty. And so I don't think any other glosses really come close to that. So, I mean, these are decent. If you're like, oh, I kind of want to pick them up, these have great opacity to them as well. I mean, you know, obviously it's not like the most opaque, but it does have like a really nice tint to it, and you would like a gloss that has a really nice tint. I think these are really nice. I think these are decent options. They feel comfortable, they are comfortable, but you know, just not my favorite. Next up is this Milani lip oil, the Fruit Fetish lip oils. I love lip oils, right? Like I used a ton of ColourPop lip oils last year, and I love lip oils. So you're probably like, well, then why is this just in your okay? It's the scent of these. I do not know what is going on here, but it has like a fruity scent, but it's so artificial and just not cute. It's not a cute thing, and so I'm not loving that. I would say I would love these a whole lot more if they had a better scent to them, but it's just a scent, and I am not a fan. But I just love the hydration. I love how plump and juicy my lips look with these on, and I do enjoy these. I enjoy using these, especially like if I'm wearing like a lipstick and I know it's going to come off at work in like a couple of hours, and I can just put this on. I love that, but it's the scent that just gets me. Last thing to talk about is the Give Me Glow lip glosses. So they came out on, when was it? Black Friday. They released brand new glosses, and I do like these. I think these are great glosses. They have a huge shade range of glosses. Like I am talking like the most shade range of glosses I have ever seen from anyone. So you definitely have like a lot of different shade ranges, so there's going to be a shade in there for whatever you're looking for. If you're wanting like a black lip gloss to go over a black matte lip, or you're wanting a red, or you're wanting, you know, something with sparkles, something clear with sparkles, like they have all of that. Like that is all there, and I really do like them. I thoroughly enjoy them. They're just not as great as my Lunar Beauties, but I think those are phenomenal glosses, especially if you are looking for something that you could pair with a red lip without it being too clear, or give you a little bit more opacity for maybe like a thinner kind of lip, or you know, something like that, or you need something that can tone down the center of your lip but still be glossy, you know, something like that. I think those are great for that. It's just, again, they're just not as great as my Lunar Beauty, but I will say they are good. Like they are really good. If you are in the market for a gloss, go for that, especially if you're in the market for a gloss and you don't want to have to use the Lunar buy the Lunar Beauty ones, because they're like $17-18. The ones from Give Me Glow are $13, and you can use like a code. Sometimes if you place an order, they'll give you a code in your next one that you can use in your next order, and that'll like knock it down to like $11 or $10 and something cents. So that would be like totally worth it. So yeah, that is it. That is my monthly roundup on the products that I used, that I didn't love, but I didn't hate, that were just kind of good, that I've kind of used here and there. Let me know your guys' thoughts down in the comments. This is my first time doing this. Do you guys enjoy this? Hearing about, because I feel like every YouTuber does like favorites and fails and palette rankings, but I don't really hear anybody talk about like, well, what about the products that aren't favorites, are fails? Like, are they still worth picking up? Are they not? I don't know. I don't ever hear anybody talk about those. So if you enjoyed this video, then please let me know so that way I can keep doing these types of videos. If you only like the favorites and the fails and the palette rankings, let me know that as well. If this is your first time here and you still have not yet hit that subscribe button, I absolutely invite you to join this Dumpster Fire family. We have a great time here. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed. This helps me out. This lets me know that you enjoy these types of videos. This lets YouTube know so they can offer more content similar to this from either me or other creators. And that is it for today's video. I hope that you all enjoyed.